Hello viewers from wherever you're watching us from. You're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we are broadcasting from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. My name is Ali Sise, and it is now time for your weekly State of Affairs program. With me in the studio, I have my colleague, Mr. Sidi. Sidi, good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Where have you been?
As is always safe, Raba Raba.
Raba Raba, I do. Well, that's Mr. Sidi Sise joining us. I mean, he's been away for, I think, for the past 2 episodes, but it's good to have him here. Well, tonight, I mean, we are looking at the Commission of Inquiry, of course, set up by the government to investigate into what the President of the Republic said is the alleged financial and administrative irregularities in the local government councils. And then this commission is expected to do their findings and submit their reports within 3 months to the government. I mean, members of this commission are Jennifer Basambo, who is chairperson of the commission. We have Oremi E. Joyner, a member, Samba Fall, a former mayor of Banjul City Council, former youth and sports minister, former ambassador, is also a member of this commission. We have Alaji Sila, also a former National Assembly member, is part of the commission, and Sukai Seka Sanyang, also a member of the commission. Well, I mean, following the announcement of the need to set up this commission, there are some people who are not really happy with the commission, looking at the timing and all those things, particularly the main opposition, United Democratic Party, under whose ticket we have most of these chairmen of these councils being in office. Well, joining me this week, I mean, to discuss this and other issues, of course, I have Honorable Sunkari Baji, who is a former National Assembly member for Fonyi Breakfast constituency, and of course, a former chairman of the Brikama Area Council. Honorable, good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much. Good to have you.
And of course, also joining us in the studio is someone who is now becoming a family affairs on State of Affairs program, Dr. Ismaila Sise, a highly respected political science lecturer at the University of the Gambia and the leader of the Citizens Alliance. Doctor, welcome to the State of Affairs program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on this program once again. Honorable, I'll start with you. I mean, as a former National Assembly member, a former chairman of Brikama Area Council, you have a deep understanding or knowledge of how councils are operated. What's your take when you heard that the government was setting up a commission to investigate the area councils?
Thank you very much indeed for according me this opportunity to be here, because this commission is more talked about within the citizens, within the length and breadth of this country. And it's important actually people have understanding of what government operations to come out and clear the air. My take on this, for me, it's normal, because the president having signed a contract with the Gambian people. On one side, His Excellency President Anamabara, and on the other side, the electorate representing the entire Gambia. Part of his contract is to uphold the constitution. And if I refer you to section 200, subsection 1 of the 1997 constitution, if you want me, I can go further. Yeah. Subsection 1, A, B, C, and D. And it states, if I may quote, that the president may, if he or she feels advisable, issue a commission of inquiry appointing one or more commissioners and authorizing such commissioners to inquire into the conduct of any public officer. That's one thing that's clear. And B, or also to inquire into the conduct or management of any department, any enterprise in this country, any local government authority, and the LGS in this country. So as a result, my take is that the president is doing his job, because I felt he was advised that something was going wrong within the LGS. And as the chief supervisor, it is his responsibility to do his job. So for me, it's perfectly normal. Whether the timing is wrong or right, I cannot decide that. But I feel that if you are given a responsibility, you must fulfill that responsibility without fear or favor. And that's what I think what the government or the president has done.
And Doctor, what's your take?
Well, my take is that it's very simple. This is a very simple affair. The president has acted within the framework of the law. The president has been given powers by the constitution to set up such inquiries. But also I see things from a very different point of view, in the sense that this is an opportunity for not only those who are going to be, those who will be scrutinized, but also for the Gambians. I mean, if I was an area council chairperson or a mayor, this is an opportunity for me to tell Gambians that, look, after 4 years, my hands are clean. As proven by the Commission of Inquiry, give me another mandate. But also, it's an opportunity for us to know the weaknesses and the gaps inherent in our local government structures. That is the purpose of this inquiry. It's not a witch hunt to go specifically to see what money is missing or what is not missing. It also looks at overall the administrative running of such very important institutions. It will give us an opportunity for the country, for the councils, to know exactly where the gaps are, where the weaknesses are, what needs to be done to enhance local governance, but also at the same time gives the politicians an opportunity, if they are clean, to say, look, I am clean, I've run the mandate, my mandate, 4 years, I'm clean by the Commission of Inquiry, therefore I'm seeking another mandate. Thank you.
And the President, in swearing in these officials, urged them to be sincere and fair in carrying out their work. But when you look at the composition of this commission, many will argue some of these people already they belong to one side of the political, system. I want to know, how do you react? I mean, having some people who are already belonging to a political party being part of this commission that is set up to investigate councils that are being headed by people who belong to the main opposition. For example, Banjul, KMC, Lower River Region, that's Monster Conco, Basse, and other area councils.
No, thank you very much. Let me just remind you, I think there's nothing like pure good or pure bad. Any statement could be subjected to scrutiny. So it's up to individuals' opinion to judge them, because we all belong to either one political party or another, or we are sympathizers to either one political party or another. But it depends on whether you are an active politician. So for me, the way I view it, what matters here is to give the job to the people who have the ability, who have the knowledge, the capacity to do the job, as Dr. Hassari said, because it's important that we take our politicians, we take our leaders to task to ensure that transparency and accountability is enhanced. The local governance, local government councils play a key role in the socio-economic development of this country, because you look at the importance of decentralization, giving the people the periphery to decide things that really affect their lives. So it's important, actually, such things, when they arise, to look at them so that we can better a system. I know they're doing a good job. I've been in National Assembly myself during the 5th legislature. The local government councils were appearing before us, local government committee. But this time around, they're appearing before FPAC. So during that period, we saw a lot of councils that did extremely well. But at the same time, we saw challenges, we saw gaps. And those gaps need to be improved for the interest of the nation. So for me, the composition, it depends on how you view it. But what matters at the end of the day, whether they have the capacity, and I believe they have the capacity to do the job.
Doctor, do you share the same views as Honorable?
Somehow, what is important for me, everybody in the Gambia belongs to a particular camp, and I agree with him on that. But also, I think it also now behoves on those men and women who are appointed by the President to head the commission to understand that they have a legacy to leave behind, and that we expect them to be professional in their findings and not to take sides. But listen, even the FPAC in Parliament, those who scrutinize most government institutions, they are politicians who belong to different political parties. And they have been taxed for such oversight functions in the National Assembly, where they can call anybody to go there and for them to be scrutinized. And they are politicians. They belong to, in fact, openly, we know which parties they belong to. So for me, I don't see that as a problem. Even if you take Dr. Cisse and put him there, Dr. belongs somewhere. What is important is that these are Gambians with fine and impeccable character, and we expect them to deliver and not to fail the Gambian people, and not to take sides, and make sure they execute their functions without fear or favor or without prejudice.
So do you think this is the beginning of a crackdown on corruption?
It is. Like I said, there's a watershed moment for the Gambia. Yes, people might complain that perhaps we should have started somewhere. There is no better way to start holding government officials accountable than at the local government level. And it's a watershed moment. We've set a precedent, and I don't think anybody can stop it now.
Sidi?
Thank you very much, Aliu. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, my brother, Honorable Sunkaru. What I have seen of late, people have just been actually picking and choosing who to actually criticize as far as the whole saga is concerned. We have seen local authority officers, chairpersons, mayors and mayors, coming before a committee, like Doctor have said earlier, the composition of that committee represents all politicians in this country. You name any political party in the National Assembly is in that committee.
That's correct.
So why not we do the decent thing and appreciate the effort that committee has done? Because if you looked at the composition of the committee, and the chairperson of the committee belongs to the opposition party, the main opposition party, who actually today is questioning the essence of this commission. They have done their job. And I think we should, actually congratulate the select committee who actually was looking at the work of our local authorities.
Certainly.
So am I baffled, or is this actually some people who lives in, Kukulan, probably, to sit and think, okay, the National Assembly members in the National Assembly who in this select committee, to actually look at the finances of these local authorities, actually, they've done their job, but they've not done their job well. Because if you are questioning why the president is setting up a commission right now, you then questioning the National Assembly Select Committee. Honorable, you were there. Yeah. Are they questioning that too?
Let me come back. Let me help here. See, for me, what I believe as a citizen, we need to do our job and see Gambia as a priority. I was a lawmaker myself. As I said, the composition of each committee at the National Assembly comprises of different political parties. And they have also a mandate. If you go by section 109, subsection 1, that establishes Committee of National Assemblies. And it goes forward to give them the certain powers and their TOR. It's a responsibility to look into. So where they found some disturbing things or unwanted things or in the sense of corruption or anything, they have a right, they are mandated by, not a right, as part of their job, to make certain recommendations, either to a president or a minister to regularize that. So exactly what the committee did, they did the right thing. As a committee, they did the right thing. But then after, the individuals can have their individual thoughts, and I say, okay, this will be against my party, this will be against my brother. But then I think the most important thing is to do right between you and Allah, and you will be.
My question to Doctor, we've seen political commentators have criticized the timing. Is it bad faith? Is it the right time to do this? But again, the select committee that sits and look at this authority, this body, none of them have spoken.
Yes, of course. I mean,
so
there's no.
I've seen,
for me, in fact, I
double
would say,
standard.
If I was a politician and I was chairperson of a council or a mayor, I would even love the timing, because the findings will come out just before elections. If I know I'm clean, if I know that I don't have anything to hide, if I know that I have no skeletons in my cupboard, in fact, I would be very happy for this commission of inquiry to be done and dusted, so that the Gambian people can know how well I've run the council that I was entrusted with, without me going around and making a case for myself. You don't even need to campaign. If the commission of inquiry comes out with their findings and say, look, Chairman X or Mayor Y has done a fantastic job in increasing revenue, in taking care of public finances, in doing X, Y, Z, in kind of making the administrative functions of the council more effective and more efficient, I don't have to campaign. That will campaign for me.
Thank you. Quickly, before Aliu comes in here, Honorable Sunkaru, we know you were part of the National Assembly, and you were a chairperson of Brikama Area Council. We know we have the Local Government Association of Galga. And we know for a fact that all these local authorities are paying subvention of 300,000 to this body that is, responsible for the upkeeping of their staffing, their housing, the office, when I've been housing the office. But we've seen when they arrange for a press conference, instead of holding the press conference in that particular place where our money is going to maintain that office, they choose to have it in a council hall. Is that not really bit bizarre?
No, it depends on what happened, the circumstances surrounding that situation.
You are speaking on behalf of the body, and the body has a house, and the body's money is maintained in that house. Come on, would it not be the right thing to hold this conference there Dr. Sunkaro,
Yeah.
let's be clear.
You are right. If
Yes.
I have a comfortable and a conducive
300,000 taxpayers' money from each of these.
But it should be
that's fine.
conducive. I
No,
mean,
of course,
if we are paying that
300,000
much
is
money-
not $200.
I'm not quite sure of where their office is located.
I know where the office is
It is located in
and it's very comfortable.
It's very
place.
comfortable there.
Because if councils are paying 300,000 a year to maintain that office, definitely it's a decent office. Why they did not hold the press conference there? That's my question.
That's a good question. I cannot answer that actually, because as I said, because I'm not privy to their headquarters, how conducive it is. I'm not, but you are privy to that. But for me, in my opinion, if the office was very conducive, I don't see any reason for them holding it somewhere else, but where they could have a cost. And do it at the house at no cost instead of doing it outside. So I'm sorry, I can't go further on that because I'm not privy to.
Okay. Yeah. With best standard, doctor, should it not be held in there?
I mean, under normal circumstances, yes. But one thing I've come to learn about this country is that circumstances are not always normal. I don't know why, like you said, I am not part of Galga. I don't know the internal workings of Galga, and I wouldn't want to make assumptions here about why. But no, under normal circumstances, you have your press conference in your house.
Thank you.
Yes, I mean, we understand, I mean, the Minister of Justice is to provide a counsel and other supporting staff to the commission. I mean, looking at the issues surrounding this whole commission thing, I mean, are you expecting to see sort of a cooperation from these councils to the commission?
It's in their interest to cooperate. It's a commission established by law, gazetted. Therefore, if you don't cooperate, you'll be in contempt of a legal commission. Therefore, we expect them to cooperate. Like, listen, why do people make this thing difficult? If I'm clean, and you call me to come and be account, I'll be very happy. In fact, I'll be rushing to ask you, when is the commission of inquiry? Only people who are not clean, who have skeletons in their cupboard, who will be afraid of this commission. So for me, if people are clean, they have nothing to hide, come to the commission. It's good for you as a politician. It's good for the country, like I said. The findings will give us an in-depth understanding of how these councils are run and tell us the weakness. It's not about the witch, forget about the witch hunt. It's how to improve local governance. It's going to give us an in-depth understanding. Yes, perhaps people think, I don't have any evidence to suggest so, that there has been deep-seated, intensive, systematic corruption and abuse of public finances within the councils. I don't know about that. The commission is going to tell us that. The commission is also going to tell us in terms of weaknesses in revenue collection, where how can we enhance the revenue collection. So the findings will come out with recommendations. If the commission realizes there are weaknesses, those recommendations, once they are implemented, can help strengthen local governance in this country. So for me, I don't see those things as a problem.
Honorable, I'll bring you in here. I mean, at the swearing in, the president said, and I quote, in trying to justify the reason for setting up this commission, he said, for example, at the Kanifing Municipal Council, there have not been a CEO and Director of Finance for nearly 2 years. Tell us, who has the power to sack CEO, council, or the ministry?
No, of recent, there's the Local Government Service Commission, which is responsible for the appointment of council staff. But in those days, the ministry does it. Okay. And with the coming of the local government in 2002, and also the institution of the establishment committee. So the establishment committee will make the recommendations to the public service, so the local government service commission that will conclude the appointments of these director of finance or senior staff of the councils.
But in this case, it means the CEO is appointed by the local government service commission.
Certainly, yeah.
But who is now responsible for the sack? Like we have seen in the case of the Kanifing municipal.
I think she was suspended, not sacked.
Yeah.
She was suspended.
Both suspended or sacked?
Exactly. The question is who is responsible for the suspension of that. Yeah. Now, as far as my knowledge is concerned, I said the establishment committee.
I mean legally responsible.
Yeah. I'm coming on because you have to give the genesis, and come to the end point. That the establishment and appointment committee of each council makes recommendation upon a complaint.
So who? Okay.
So when they make their recommendation to the service, local government service commission, it's the service commission now that implements such punishments or promotions or dismissals.
So that service commission is under the Ministry of Local Government.
The service commission is an independent body.
Okay.
It's
independent. Just like the public service commission.
Precisely. It's independent. Yes, and nobody should interfere into the activities.
But you understand
so when you talk about the hiring is done by them.
Yeah.
those naturally means the firing.
No, based on recommendations from the
establishment and appointment committee of a council.
But we have seen recently,
Yes.
of late, when jobs are going, as far as local councils are concerned, they are the ones who will put that out. They will put those vacancy announcements in the papers, and that comes from the commission, not the council.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It starts by the Local Government Act 2002. It starts with the establishment and appointment committee of a council that will make a recommendation for the filling of a particular position.
Yes.
Those recommendations will be forwarded to the Local Government Service Commission that will conclude the process of employment, promotion, dismissals, and so on and so forth.
And Doctor, with the absence of a CEO for almost 2 years, no director of finance, I mean, how does this affect the administration of council?
Well, it does, and I think the first question is why? Why has it been that for 2 years there has not been a director of finance? Why? And why for 2 years there has not been? That's a serious breach of governance and ethics in this country. We should not allow that. There is a problem. There was a problem fundamentally. What was the problem? It should have been solved a long time ago. Of course, it will affect how those offices are not created for the sake of creation. There's a CEO because the CEO has a particular role to play. There was director of finance because CEO has a particular role to play. So if those people are not there anymore, then there was a huge gap. And I think one of the functions of this commission is to tell us exactly so that we can avoid such problems in the future, because it's poor governments that really suffer from these problems. So for me, I think that's one of the advantages of this commission. Tell us exactly what was happening, what is the problem, what can we learn from our past mistakes so that we can build on them and move on. But I think obviously, yes, it's going to affect the functioning of any council if the CEO and the director of finance are not there. I mean, maybe they are acting, there are people acting on their behalf, but I think, to be honest, we need to find out what was the reason and also how has it affected it.
And going further, I mean, Honorable, I mean, like I said, you served as chairman of the Brikama Area Council. How does this affect the work of council when, the council and government are not saying eye to eye?
No, it has huge implications because the government has a responsibility. And if you see this responsibility of the government through the Ministry of Local Government and Lands, or Regional Government and Lands, and then you go to Local Government Act 2002, you see Section 140 and 149 respectively, that spells out the roles and responsibility of the government. So if the situation is not sanitized, actually, it really affects both sides. And particularly, I'm amazed to hear that in Came, you said, in the absence of the CEO and Director of Finance, and these two people are the signatories to the accounts.
Yes.
And in the absence, the Director of Admin should be. So it will seriously affect the operations, because who will sign the checks? Only an interim committee, and who has the legal mandate to do that, acting CEO and acting this and change all this. So really, actually, it will derail the progress of development in this given situation.
And if you've been following news, I mean, we saw where the CEO who is under suspension was, forcefully reported to the council, and a particular office was broken into for him to assume his office. Do you think that was proper, Doctor?
I think those are ugly scenes.
The KMC may describe it as a coup.
Yes, I think those are ugly scenes. I don't want to say what is inappropriate or what is appropriate. What I can say is that those are ugly scenes and could have been avoided by our politicians, both at the central government level, but also at the local government level. You mentioned something very interesting. Why is it that our local government politicians don't see eye to eye with the central government? They have different roles to play, and they complement each other. They should not compete with each other. Now, every state has their own system. They have states with a federal system, like Nigeria, for example. They have a government, but they have they divide sovereignty with the states. Gambia is a unitary system, where central government cannot be everywhere. Central government cannot be from Basse to Koina.
Absolutely.
Therefore, what we do is, based on the law, we create local government structures. They are more intelligent to the people, and they are the first call of the people.
Yeah.
And I think they should work together. Because if I was president, for example, I would like to support any local government, because if they succeed, I succeed. If, for example, I'm president, and Sirif Sise is the mayor of Brikama, for Brikama municipality, whenever that happens. If I support him and he does a fantastic job, I'll take credit. They'll say, well, the president is working. Even though it's not the president, it is the mayor that does the work. So for me, I think we should go beyond that now. We should try to be mature in our politics. We should try to make sure we complement each other. Whilst politicians are fighting, killing each other, the poor people are suffering. The poor people don't have food to eat, no water, and these things are not good for the country. So I think those are ugly things that we should avoid and make sure whenever there's an issue, we sit and discuss it and solve it amicably and peacefully, and that is what will be beneficial for our
Doctor,
democracy.
others are saying the Local Government Act of 2002 should be amended. I mean, this is something that everyone keeps saying. We need to amend the Local Government Act to give more power to the local authorities. As far as you are concerned, are you in agreement with that?
I'm a fan of decentralization.
Yeah. So what areas do we need to amend, for example, the economic part or the political part? How do we...
Well, I'm not very familiar with the Local Government Act, but I'm a very strong fan of decentralization. I believe government cannot do everything. I believe that local councils should be given more responsibility, especially in issues that directly affect the people. For example, healthcare, for example, education. I know sanitation is with them, but certain things should be given, roads, this to be given to councils and support councils institutionally, financially, to make sure that they can increase their revenue base. I know that the government today is problematic because...
But when you talk about they can increase their revenue base, there is no limit for any local authority to limit, as far as to grow your economy is concerned.
No, there is no limit imposed. But there are limits that they have no control. For example, the capacity of BAC and KM to generate revenue. CRR, Kekerawan, Basse, they don't have that capacity. How will they make money? So there will be imbalanced development. And what we need, government, is inclusive development, so we all move together. If KM and BAC are developing, their people are having a nice time because their councils can raise more money. What happens to Kerewan?
But they need to be innovative. There need to be innovation, Doctor. And two, when you look at local bodies, there's no limit. Look at, if you look all over the place, it's the littering all over the places, cars are parking all over the place. There are a lot of things that councils can step in and stop this thing. And the laws are there to help them to do that.
I agree with you.
It seems Mr. Baji wants to come in.
Let me help, because that's my area.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Please, come.
Please help.
The hurdle between the central government and LG is that LGS lack the capacity. That's just what we have been arguing over and over and over.
When you mean the capacity, in which sense?
Capacity could be subjective, maybe.
Human capacity?
Human capacity,
technical,
material, technical, you name it. So that's the stand of the central government. That's why, as a result, unless those problems are fixed, the central government will be in a position to do certain things. But the central government is supposed to give council 60% of their development, capital development, and they are supposed to give them grants. But look at BAC and KMC, they have huge revenue bases. But of time, the amendments we are talking about, there was some time that a lot of revenue bases of local governments have been usurped by the central government. With the advent of the NRA, they took the billboards, the sand minings, the list goes on. So that limited the ability of local councils to generate a lot of funds, particularly in those key revenue earning areas. Sand mining, how lucrative that's. So we were negotiating all along that even these areas are not given to LGA, but let the areas have a percentage of what accrues from them. So that's I've been working on. The amendments, of course, there are some amendments that needs to be done. The autonomy. Well, we go to the Finance Act 2004, say that the councils can make their own budgets, they can raise their own funds, they can go into commerce, they can do A, B, C, and D, but they have limitations. You have autonomy over your revenue, except salaries, emoluments, and others. You cannot add to your salary. You can. That's your responsibility. That's prerogative of the government.
Is that not the right thing?
For me, yes, there should be checks and balances.
Of course,
I agree with that. I agree with that. But now the question, what we are saying, that why can't we raise more money? And I agree that if it is central government, there are capacity gaps.
But I think what needs to be done, just finally on this one, government should set up another commission, establish another commission or another body to really do a comprehensive study on how to enhance the revenue capacity or the potential for councils to raise revenue. Like you said, they can go into commerce. If I was the chair, I'm not sure whether the law will allow me to do it. If I was chairman of Kerewan Area Council, I'll go into agriculture as a council.
No one is stopping you to
Exactly.
do that.
So what I'm saying is that, like you said, we need to be innovative. We cannot just sit and depend on taxes. Now imagine if I was chairman of Kerewan Area Council, for example, or Kuntawur, or Mansa Konko, and we have vast land in those places. It's just to mobilize. We need to find ways to mobilize resources, innovative ways. If I was made a chairperson of a council or a mayor, we cannot just rely on taxing people, $5, $10, market women, we are running after them. No, we need to be innovative. And I think for government to help, they can set up a body that can do a comprehensive study on how to enhance the revenue raising potential of all councils, and help them. That's why I said government should help. That is, give them seed money, give them institutional support. Like you said, capacity is a problem, and especially human capacity. So government should be able to help these councils, provide human capacity, provide seed money, provide institutional support until they are on their feet. And then they go. Then government will also now relax and spend our money on other issues that are also important.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ismail Sise and Mr. Baji. Well, viewers, we are watching QTV State of Affairs. I am Aliu Sise, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Sidi Sise, and our guest, like I said, Dr. Mr. Sungari Baji, former chairman of the Brikama Area Council, and of course, Dr. Ismail Sise, a highly respected political science lecturer and leader of CA. We'll go for a short break, and when we return, discussion continues. Do stay tuned.
Espas Motors is the largest and most modern auto service in the Gambia. Espas Motors is the only authorized dealer in Chevy, Mercedes-Benz trucks, Mercedes-Benz buses, Kia, Ford, Futon Mini and Midi buses, Futon trucks. At Espas Motors, we have qualified professionals who use modern technology to diagnose and repair all brands of motor vehicles. Espas Motor services include auto sales, auto repairs, vehicle painting, availability of high-quality spare parts, towing services. We are reachable at any time. Call Espas Motors on 352222 353-4444 or locate us on the Bertel Harding Highway. Espas Motors.
Welcome back from that short break. You're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we're broadcasting from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. My name is Aliu Sise. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Sidi Sise, and our guest this week, Mr. Sungari Baji, former chairman of the Brikama Area Council, and of course, National Assembly member for Fonyi Brefet constituency, and Dr. Ismail Sise. Today, we are looking at the commission set up by the government to inquire into alleged financial and administrative irregularities at the area councils. I mean, just earlier on, you were talking about, that huddle between the local government and the central government. And because of that, at some point, we once had the president announcing his plans to appoint governors in Banjul and KM. Do you think he has the powers to appoint such?
Yes, he does.
Really?
The president, it's the prerogative of the president to appoint a governor.
Does the law provide that the president can appoint a governor where you have mayors already?
No. It's only in the regions. But now actually
now I'm talking about Banjul and KM.
At the moment, no, unless there are certain regulations that a bill that will come to make provisions for such appointments.
And Doctor, were you surprised when you heard the president making that announcement?
Whether surprised or not, I think I didn't even pay attention to that. Obviously, the president has powers to appoint, like Honorable said here. I'm not very familiar with the law surrounding these appointments, but I think for me what is important is if it's going to be done, let it follow due process and let it be done within the framework of the rule of law.
And in terms of setting up commissions, someone out there will be saying, in the past we've received so many reports about alleged corruptions. Why is it that the government never set up commission to inquire into those alleged corruptions, but focusing on the councils? And because of that, certain people might think this is it's not done in a good faith, because before this, we have had several reports of alleged corruptions in other places, Doctor.
But for me, like I said, I'm not the government, but I don't think the whole purpose of this commission is to fight corruption. I think it's to look at the entire local government governance structure and processes to really make sure that we enhance it. If we want to just focus, because the commission goes beyond just looking at corruption, it goes also looking at the administrative functioning of the local governance structures. So let's not just lose the sight. Let's just not focus on corruption alone. Yes, there has been allegations of corruption, and I think that something should have been done about those allegations under normal circumstances. But that should not, two wrongs cannot make a right. That should not make us say, you know what, then nothing should be done. And like I said, it's a good start. And I think the local government, the commission on look at the affairs of local governance is a good start as well.
Earlier on, Doctor, you talked about setting up another commission to help.
Not a commission, a kind of a
body.
To commission a team of experts.
A team of experts.
Exactly.
I mean, we've seen GRA here, the Gambia Revenue Authority. They have widened the collection. They have widened, bringing money. We've seen just a few weeks ago, I think they made huge collection, from our pockets. Let me be a little I mean, so I don't think really we need another body to look into that. I think people that we put in those offices should have the capacity to actually think outside the box.
It's more complex than that, CD. It's more complex than that. I mean, if the people who we put in those places are directly appointed by a president, yes, but they're elected by the people, and the people don't have the information to appoint people who have the capacity. Today, you will run with somebody who you have more capacity than in a local government area, and the people will vote for him. So our system is so complex and problematic that things are not black and white.
How about you, Mr. Baji?
Yeah, of recent,
I think Gambian electorates are waking up daily.
The regional government land, ministry was doing a lot of work in collaboration with UNDP. They were looking into the Finance and Audit Act. And also, one point I said myself, we need to review the act or look at certain issues, areas that we need to amend. And they said, no, we don't want to do it piecemeal, but we want to do it as a whole. So that process was going up until I left National Assembly. I'm not sure whether it has succeeded to revisit the entire local government at 2002. But the Finance and Audit Act 2004 has been looked into and review. So that will help us. The ministry needs to take its stance. I know they are doing a good job, but they need to do more to ensure actually, if you look into councils, during my time as chairman, there was this staff audit. There was a lot of allegations that the BAC was actually overstaffed.
And in fact, that's part of the mandate of this commission to look at the staffing of the councils and whether due process was followed in appointing some of these people.
And I would like to hear that, but I knew that was right.
During your time,
you
had those experiences.
Yeah, exactly. I had those experiences that a lot of people said BAC is overstaffed, and I wouldn't like to hear that, but that was the fact. If in my office, one point in time, a single office, 4 meter by 4 meter, had 2 or 3 cleaners. That's not logical.
Yeah.
So the staff,
who were hiring those cleaners?
Well, in those days, there's no existence of the Local Government Service Commission.
Yeah, but who was responsible?
It was done with the council management. Council management was responsible for
that you were part of.
Yeah, that was our part. But some of this, we found them there.
Okay.
Yes, I found them. Because something I inherited. But then when people cry loud, and then the ministry invited requested for an audit, staff audit, from the PMO rather. So that was what I'm just trying to exalt. And the staff audit was actually done, and I was agreed that yes, definitely, I was overstaffed. So we started working on that.
If you retire, what did you do?
Yeah, exactly. If you retire, we will not replace that. So we are reducing them gradual. But
so you just need them to flush people out.
Exactly, gradual. So such things need to be done so that you can put the right people,
of course, in the right places.
In the right places.
But also, of course, I think the two things. You see, universities are here to solve society's problems. If a university is not solving society's problems, we should close that university. Now, when I said we should set up a team to look into resource mobilization of local government, university can do that for free. We're not supposed to be, they're not supposed to be paid. That's one of our jobs. Get the best economists from the university, do a comprehensive study, and tell us exactly how can we increase resource mobilization among local government areas. But also another thing that I wanted to also emphasize is that this should not stop only with local government. Every institution and department and ministry in this country, it needs to be scrutinized. They're all sick. They all have administrative lapses. They all have resource mobilization problems. This should go further. to look at all departments in this country, all ministries, how they are run, how is hiring done, are they following due process? Because this is the only way we can move this country. You need to first understand the disease and find a cure so that we can move on. Every country does that. And I think when we finish with the local government, we look at the gaps, the weaknesses, how we enhance it, we move to every department, because departments are not also serving the Gambian people. Every department, from Ports Authority to NAWEC to GAMTEL to GAMCEL, all of them should be looked at in terms of, it's not the witch hunt to see who is corrupt and who is, it's about how do we make sure that the money, our resources are put in the right places, due process is followed, and so on and so forth. That is very, very important.
But I mean, there's a problem here. I mean, like you said, it's easily said than done. I mean, most of these things, I mean, it seems like everything in this continent is politicized.
If see, as a leader, you know, don't listen to, but don't listen, do the right thing, follow your conscience. You see, as a leader, do the right thing, history will judge you. Don't listen to people. If I know that, if
are you saying talk is cheap?
If I spill this water, it's going to be beneficial to this country. Let people say what they want to say. I'll do it. Because that's why you are elected as a leader. Sometimes as a leader, what you see and what people you lead see, it's totally different. It's totally different. So as a leader, you must be steadfast and make sure you do what you think is right for the country.
So let's be clear here. Why all the noise about this commission? We've seen the Jana Commission. We've seen the TRRC. We've seen, you know, Faraba, you know, the Faraba Commission. And I think there was another commission, if I can remember. Why the noise about this particular commission? Maybe you can help me. I'm lost.
No, I mean, for me, to be
completely
honest,
lost.
see, I don't pay attention to the noise.
Yeah. But it's going round.
Yeah, but let people make noise. People always make noise. Yeah. See, even today, if you go to Westfield and start giving money to people for free, there'll be noise. You cannot stop noise in this country. Politics goes with noise. Noise is fine. It's okay. What is important is let's work.
Let's do the work.
Let people make their noise. Here in this country, anything you do.
I take that from you. Let's do the work.
Anything you do, people are, there is a group that is not happy and they'll complain about it. So don't pay attention to
is it because a bit, you know, when you leave other part of the world, you see how things are done. You know, you can have all your noise, but be constructive, deal with issues, primarily be objective. That's what is missing here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll get there at some point.
I just
Mr. Sunkar, quickly, why all the noise about this one?
Earlier, I've said that there's nothing like pure good or pure bad. Whatever you do, no matter how good it is, some people will criticize. Even you do bad things, some people will appraise, some won't. So there's nothing that cannot be subjected to criticism. But as we said, Gambia, we have one disease.
A big one.
Very big, a chronic one to that effect, that politics. Politics has destroyed so much that we do not prioritize Gambia as our nation. But we should look at the Gambia as that's what we have. But this is what is not lacking. People are looking at the individual.
Can we say the political personality, that is the disease, than the politics that, you know, give us a better life and better living? Because when it comes to real politics, it gives us better life and better living.
It depends on Gambia's understanding of what politics is.
Supposed to do that.
People's
But when we bring this political personality, is Dr. Cisse, who I want to make sure he sits in that seat, hook or crook, then we have a problem.
We have a problem.
Yes, Doctor, I just want to know, I mean, in terms of some of these alleged financial malpractices in these councils, if so they exist, why not prosecute directly? Because laws exist than setting up a commission.
But you first need to unearth and find evidence. You cannot just start prosecuting people without evidence. And because of these things are not only about financial mismanagement, it's about administrative malpractice and irregularities. Therefore, you need to get the competent body. You cannot send the police in to do that. So therefore, when the commission is done, obviously, they'll have to, it will depend on what the outcome of that report is. If there is enough evidence to suggest that a particular public official is found wanting for grossly mismanaging public funds, then therefore the next step can be taken for prosecution. But I think for now, this is the right way to do it.
Earlier on, my colleague CD mentioned about, you know, the government is good at setting up commissions. We've seen the TRRC, the Jana Commission, the Faraba incident, and now the local government councils. This cost millions of taxpayers' money. But implementation of the outcomes of these commissions, Mr. Baji.
In general, this country has a problem. We have all the beautiful laws in this country, but the devil lies in the implementation. So that's a major problem that we need to look at. But
so why should the commissions if you don't implement?
No. It's important because every individual has a responsibility. Being an employee of this institution, you have a responsibility. He has a responsibility to his institution. So it's important every individual is given a responsibility to fulfill that responsibility. And then it goes to the other stage because you have checks and balances. This is your job and this is your boundary, you stop. You pass the thing to the next person. And that person pass it to the next person. So that at the end of the day, actually, it's important. Actually, we do what we are mandated by our job. But that's a major problem. But that suggests that we should stop from what we're doing because the president has a responsibility.
But also, Aliu, one thing we need to understand also is sometimes we are very unfair to ourselves. All these commissions you mentioned, you cannot expect every commission's recommendation to be implemented 100%. If a commission has been instituted and there are 100 recommendations, and only 20% of it is implemented, it's a good start. At least we are moving. We are getting to somewhere. There is no country in the world that 100% implements all recommendations. Because there are other complex problems, other cultural problems. There are people who have been resistant to change. People want to maintain the status quo. There are people in our institutions who thrive in chaos. And they want to maintain a chaotic system. If you come to those institutions and want to bring order, they'll fight you. They'll be resistant to those kind of changes. So the problems are complex. They're not easy as we think. For me, I think if let's do an appraisal. I think government should even do that. Of all commissions that have been in this country, how many % of the recommendations have been implemented? Which ones have been implemented? Those not implemented, what are the problems why they're implemented? At least we have an idea. So when we speak with fact and authority using data. But no, I cannot say that all those commissions are useless. No, maybe there is one commission who has a 40% implementation rate. I think that's a good start.
I just want to add on to that, but quickly, right now, moving forward, I know in the Gambia when things happen, the 7 days, like when somebody died, the 7-day charity. I'm not being funny here. The noise. Yes. So moving forward now, what will be your advice to those stakeholders who have a stake as far as this commission is concerned, as far as the government is concerned, as far as those institutions, the local authority, what would be your advice moving forward as far as this commission is concerned? Because this is not something that is new. You know, like you have said earlier, we've seen commissions. Absolutely. We need the cooperation of everybody to make sure that we have a decent commission and we learn from it and move forward. Because at the end of the day, they have a responsibility. Sure. They are collecting our monies, our taxes.
There are 3 key stakeholder categories in this scheme. 1 is the government, 2 is the commissioners, and 3 is the local government authorities or the public officials. For the local government authorities or the politicians, we urge them to cooperate fully without hesitation. The outcome will be good for them, good for the councils, good for the country. For the commissioners, let them make sure they execute their duty without fear or favor or without prejudice, and make sure that the president has trust and confidence in them to serve with dignity, and that they have to also think about their legacy. See, when you leave this world, what you leave behind is what stays. So therefore, they must make sure that they guarantee their integrity and make sure they do anything that can undermine that integrity. So let them be fair, and then make sure they do their job right. For government, make sure that any recommendation therefrom must be implemented without fear or favor as well. If the government has findings and a particular council has done extremely well, even though they are not on the same political wavelength, they must come out and commend that person. Those who are in the same political wavelength, if they've done bad, punish them and make sure the full force of the law is applied. So I think these 3.
Quickly, okay,
all right. The fourth is mentioned 3 salient areas. The fourth one actually, political heads. It's important actually to prepare the minds of the people, tell them the truth. You see, the best thing about a
leaders of political parties.
But certainly, it's important that we tell our people the truth. That this commission, as I say, is right. It's not here for which one, but it's here to correct a system that will be better for the entire Gambia. So it's important. But where the political leaders refuse to tell their followers the truth and bend on misleading them, then the dust will get
in our eyes.
Yeah.
Yes, well, slightly from the commission. I mean, if you've been following development, last Friday, the president appointed, Mohamed B.S. Jallow as the new vice president. I mean, I will start with both of you.
Well, I don't know him personally. I don't know him that much. But I think he's lived his whole life serving this country, first as a teacher. I mean, somebody who starts as an unqualified teacher must have done the civil service very young, being a civil servant until he retires. He's a Gambian. And I think there are two key criteria for qualification for vice president in this country, in line with the constitution. You must be a Gambian, too. You must fulfill all the requirements to be president. Absolutely. If he fulfills that, the president has the mandate in accordance with the constitution to appoint him. Well, I wish him good luck, and I hope he will not disappoint.
What roles will be given to the vice president?
The president has 4 roles. One is ceremonial. That is, he's the principal assistant to the president in line with the constitution. He serves the president at the privilege of the president. 2 is parliamentary. He represents president in parliament, because president can be going to parliament back and forth. President sends him to parliament. 3 is executive. That is, you realize that some of the executive institutions are under the vice president's office. And 4, obviously, is diplomatic. Sometimes he can be going out to represent the president in diplomatic means and making sure that the diplomacy, he kind of oils the wheels of diplomacy. So I think these are 4 key roles that he plays. And I think based on, I don't know Mohamed B.S. Jallow that much. Well,
he has previously served as Secretary General.
Exactly, and also he's been in the civil service for too long. I think with the support of his cabinet members as well, with the support of the president, who is also now quite experienced after being in helm of affairs for close to 7 years, I think he will deliver.
Well, Mr. Baji, it appears the appointment did surprise everyone. I mean, people were speculating here and there. At some point, probably Dr. Ismail Assise can be the vice president. All of a sudden,
why are they surprised?
Exactly. What are you expecting from the new vice president?
Well, the expectation is very high. To really honest, as we said, there were some rumors as we went around that in the former ICC chairperson.
No, there were names everywhere. Even Dr. Ismail Assise.
I had that.
My brother was named.
Yes, even Dr. Ismail Assise.
Sidin Jai and others. Exactly. So the expectations are very, very high. Look at the nature of the Gambia and the political arena. Actually, the Gambia is quite much more sophisticated, and the world political trend is getting much more complicated. So therefore, he must be a person who is very seasoned on top of things. And going by his biography,
very grounded.
Absolutely, going by his biography, I think I'm very confident. Actually, he will live for the job.
So in a ratio between 1 to 10, what would you give to the president in the scoreboard for this vice president? Both of you.
Well, I tell you something, guys. You see, let's remember also, Gambia's problems are systemic and very deep. An appointment of a vice president doesn't change the fortunes of a country.
No, we are not talking about that.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, for now, I think it's very early for us to assess that. I think we need to give him the chance after 6 months to 1 year and see what he's able to do. Then we can assess and give the president a score sheet to say, Mr. Coach, this player you put in, it's like a coach. Before I put a player in, you are telling me to, I said, no, let the player go in first.
Earlier you said, he's a Gambian, he's a seasoned civil servant, from a teacher, unqualified teacher, to the SG, Secretary General. So this CV looks quite plausible.
Yes, but the CV looks quite plausible and quite good, but is it good enough for the role of a vice president? Not necessarily. That's what I'm saying. So we need to give him a chance for him to go into office first and see what he will do in the next 6 months to 1 year, and then we can now make those judgments.
Mr. Baji, what is that you think he should learn from the late former vice president?
One thing I know about it, because we work together.
Okay.
The former vice president as well, when he was working on the completion of the Ndemban skills, and we work very, very closely. Yeah. When it comes to the National Assembly as well, fighting very hard with the former finance minister. At times, they will go up to exchanging blows, and we said we will support him. Yeah. He's very, very resolute and very, very humble, and he's straightforward.
Yeah, his vision. I think he should. The former vice president has a vision. He understands the complex issues of this country. He's a seasoned civil servant, very honest, very straightforward, and very hardworking. I think if he really follows, not footsteps, but if he really goes to that office and the transition is smooth, I think he should try to complete everything that the former vice president has started.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ismail Assise. Like I said, political science lecturer at the University of the Gambia and leader of CA Party. And of course, Mr. Sunkari Baji, former chairman of the Brikama Area Council, and also he had also served as National Assembly member for Fonyi Brefet constituency. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the State of Affairs program. We quite appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And Sidi,
Thank you so much. You know, he refused to give me a scoreboard.
Well,
we'll talk about it.
Thank you very much. Well, viewers, we that we bring an end to this week's edition of the State of Affairs program. Thank you so much for watching. I was your host, Aliou Cisse. Do join us next week. Until then, bye-bye.